what I mean? This is your boy Al Megan. Today we have an amazing Geekfest Comic Crusaders special. That's right. We have one of the amazing filmmakers on deck about to talk some sci-fi goodness. Woo! But before we all do all that, I gotta introduce my fellow Crusader, my film buff, independent creator, a living legend himself, Mr. Happy, Mr. Jeff Bracey. What's popping, homie?
Raise that roof, son. Raise that roof. Because we're going sky with some sci-fi.
I can't wait. Yeah, this sci-fi definitely made me high. Because it was fun to watch, visually stunning. I mean, I can't wait to get into the film. Folks, we have a PowerPoint. We got the trailer, but most important, we have the creator, the director, and his house. Let me introduce this legend from down under, not from the wastelands, no, but he's definitely mad in the mind because his creativity is off the hook. Let me introduce the one, the only, the future legend, the future superstar in the making, Mr. Karl Redgen. Wepa, homie, how you doing?
Good, man. What an intro. I love it. It's like I'm a wrestler coming like, yeah, let's go.
Like this guy gives the best intros ever.
Listen, because you are living legend, you got me excited. I am a sci-fi fan. And taking a look at your film, Outer Reaches, folks, whoo, what a beautiful film. I was like, whoa, 12 minutes of hot sci-fi goodness. God forbid they give you access to a 2-hour film. You would murder Hollywood right now. But before we do all that, I'm going to reel it back just a tad. Let me start with my opener, and then Mr. Bracey could go on and ask his questions as well. But most important, Karl, we need to know this. This is Comic Crusaders, you know what I mean? And we love origin stories. Just tell us, what is your origin story? Where are you from originally? And most importantly, what was the first piece of fandom that you ever fell in love with?
Okay, that's a great first question. So I actually grew up in a small country town in the south of Melbourne called Wonthaggi. It's like a typical mining town. Basically, I have a twin brother, and we lived in this town as the only kind of like people into music. We were in a band together. We lived behind a pizza shop and played in a punk band. And people from the town would come to the pizza shop and just watch us play. And we were kind of like, we were the only alternative kids. I used to have a mohawk. I used to wear a leather jacket.
I had a mohawk, bro. Oh shit! There we go, bro. Mohawk, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And I realized that I hated living in a small town, and there wasn't anything there for me. So I moved to Melbourne and went to uni and started doing film school. But when I was 15, 16, I started making films. I bought a camera, started just filming jackass type movies.
Wait. Reel it back, homie. At 15, you bought a camera? Wait a minute. How'd you do this?
Well, I say I bought a camera, but I asked my grandparents to buy me a handy cam, like a small tape camera.
You said a handy cam. I remember those. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
So I just used to film all the skateboarding, we did jackass type stuff. Anything that 15-year-olds want to do when they live in a small town, just to jump off roofs, climb up the McDonald's sign.
Many DV tapes back then?
Yeah, I had the boxes of them. I filmed a lot of like short films as well. My brother and I used to film horror movies and stuff like that. But I've moved so many times and I've lived overseas that I actually don't have that box of DV tapes anymore, mini DVs anymore, which is a bit of a shame.
That's sad. That's really fucking sad.
It would have been a good legacy if I ever get famous to like be able to bring up those old mini DVD films.
Maybe we'll find you, like they'll see this and they're like, hey, I have a bunch of these tapes, and just send them to you one day.
You know what? But how dare Karl say if, right? What we saw, there is no if. You are destined for greatness, homie. Now, before Bracey goes, I would like to know also Journey a little bit, just a tad, because you were lucky enough to have a brother and a twin, and it seems that you guys were very involved. But outside of you and your sibling, what was the vibe like within the community? Did you have fellow geeks that were down and having fun with the filming too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going to Melbourne really helped that. You know, we used to be able to just hang out. I lived above a pub, so we could just all of us like make movies, make art. We were living with musicians and sound engineers. We were putting on shows and festivals. So I really jumped straight into that creativity side of getting out of the country town and literally being like, these are my people. These are the weirdos, the freaks, the nerds that are making movies. And I think that's kind of what started my first fandom. I'm a really big Edgar Wright fan, and when Shaun of the Dead came out, I kind of followed everything that he made. I in fact have a massive Scott Pilgrim vs. the World chest tattoo.
That's love, man. That's love. All right.
Serious nerd cred right there.
Yeah, so that kind of is what got me into the filmmaking, like watching Spaced on DVD. And as well as Kevin Smith movies. I used to watch Clerks all the time over and over again. And it was more the fandom of like, what can indie filmmakers do rather than big things like Star Wars or and those kind of things. I think watching and reading the books as well, picking up books of Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, those kind of like David Fincher, like how they were making movies in the 90s. So I was really into the whole Sundance Kids movement. With like Steven Soderbergh. So for me, I just literally was like, if Kevin Smith can make a movie with like $28,000, I reckon I can make a movie as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did.
I spoke to Robert Rodriguez, a couple years ago. Yeah, amazing energy, creative dude. Yeah, take that. Just get it done. And I remember asking him, whether they call you the one-man band, because apparently he used to go around being everything all by himself. He was.
Yeah.
Production.
and reading his book about El Mariachi and how he just like would just get the actor to jump on the bus and it's like, all right, you can get on the bus now, and you're like, oh, that's wild.
I saw El Mariachi in movie theaters when it came out.
Wow.
I learned his trick of using a wheelchair as a dolly. That was genius.
He said a wheelchair.
He got that from Stanley Kubrick though.
Yeah, like you stick a guy in a wheelchair and holding the camera and you push him around. Like you don't have dolly track, you make do. You do things.
I love it. Love it. All right, Karl. So this is my last question and then it's Bracey. So when was the first time, that you said, okay, I'm having fun, right? You're doing your skateboard and your little, but when was the day that it became real and serious?
Yeah, I was living behind the pizza shop and making movies, and I got all of my mates, all the skateboard crew, all of the musicians, everyone who was someone cool and one faggy, and we're all like 60 of us sitting in back of a pizza shop. My dad used to do deliveries. He just brought out all the pizzas, like because we get them for free, and set up on the TV. This was early 2000s, so well before like HDMI or flat screens, and I was like the only kid who like had a Final Cut account, and so I was like editing and I was like ripping, burning DVDs and like writing the name of the film on the DVD and handing them out at the event, and so everyone was getting excited. I actually put posters around the school. I'm 16 making a short film, and then we premiered it at my house with like 50, 60 people just slammed in a room that's probably the size of a lounge room. And it was awesome. We're all getting drunk and chilling out and eating free pizza. And then everyone went home with a DVD with the name of the film written in permanent marker.
So, Bracey, did you notice something he said? We're all getting drunk, but then he also mentioned prior to that, 16-year-old filmmaker. Holy crap. So what are the laws like over there in Oz?
Well, my dad bought it. It's not like we got a fake ID.
He threw his father under the bus just now, folks.
Because our alcohol laws, we can drink at 18. So it's not that far away.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be able to do that over here, but then some years back they changed it to 21. So,
Bracey, go ahead, brother. The floor is yours right now. So, get 2 questions in, because what I want to do after your 2 questions, we're gonna show off the trailer. All right, and then we got a PowerPoint.
Well, I gotta say right off the bat, visually, your VFX is very impressive. I love the atmospherics. I love the shots before you even get into the story of seeing the planets in the capsule coming down, and then how you turn your area into another world. Like you've got some really gorgeous shots of a planet on the horizon and the clouds and the lightning. Who handles your VFX, and how hard was that to do? Because I noticed it looks like you're doing a lot of handheld, so then that footage has to be kind of tracked onto there.
Yeah, sure. So my visual effects team are actually based in Chiang Mai in Thailand. So it's by a company called Nippon Studios, and so once we filmed the movie, I went over to Chiang Mai and went to his studio, and it was a pretty cool experience because I walked through the door and there was 4 people like working on all the green screen, doing all the rotoscoping. They had all the storyboards out, and it was a full proper like film experience. And then I said to him, I said, "Have I made it? Have I finally made it as a filmmaker? That I have a team of people handling all the sky replacement and green screen."
That is so impressive. I'm used to like you've got one guy in the back who's just working his balls off doing all this by himself at home, like on a Mac or something. Like, boy, you had a real studio working for you. That's impressive.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. They did. So to answer your question about the handheld stuff, I think that they found that the most difficult, well, most not difficult, but the most time consuming, because there is a lot of like tracking. You need to make sure that that you're not losing the sky. But what ended up happening is he ended up calling me about 3 weeks into the visual effects process and said, "You've run out of money. You've run out of budget. We can't." The sky replacement ended up being so much. There's so many shots that ended up being replaced because at the beginning we kind of thought it would be a relatively straightforward process, and we ended up doing like maybe 100 sky replacement shots, and each one has to be done manually, pretty much individually, each not frame by frame anymore, but you get the shot and then you replace the sky, and as you were saying earlier, you got to do all the tracking for that. So there are some moments that we just had to change it in color grading, which I think still works. It doesn't take away from the story. It doesn't take away from the the amazing parts of the visual effects. But I did end up running out of budget for the
I'd wonder, because there's a couple of angles you have in the story where I'm not seeing the vista back there. I'm seeing the natural sky, and I was wondering if that was part of the issue or if it was time constraint, that sort of deal.
Kind of both, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, because I appreciate the handheld camera shooting, but like for something like that, because of all that's involved, I was almost wondering if maybe they put the camera on a stick here, and maybe they kind of like did the digital wobble to make it look like it was handheld, but like it was legit handheld and motion track background.
It's actually it's both. So there was some mostly all that was on sticks, but then there's any of the kind of I guess handheld looking shots we do use motion in the edit. My editor put that in, but the reason for that one that it looks a little bit handheld and that we had to motion track is because we're running out of daylight. So you just get the actor to run all the way over there, go over that hill, and you're on the walkie-talkie. He had a walkie-talkie in his helmet, so we're like, all right, so action, and then he's like just walks through, and we just had to. I love it. The sun's going down. You have to
hear the backstory behind guerrilla filmmaking. So how long did you shoot this? How many days did you spend out there shooting this?
So out on location. So we shot about an hour south of Melbourne. That was 2 days. So we actually were going to shoot one day, and then we ran out of light, and we actually had to go back the next week and do the pickups. And then it was 2 days in a soundstage. So all of the interior capsule stuff with the alien, that's all shot on a soundstage.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
You got
Bracey, hold on, Bracey. You know,
right
we're talking, and you know, and I'm pretty sure our viewers right now are curious. They're like, "What are these guys talking about?" You know, this
Well,
sounds dope.
we're talking about. Yes.
You know, so let's go, folks. I'm gonna show you the dope.
Oh yeah.
trailer, and then I got some dope screenshots to show you as well, folks. Check it out. This is the trailer to my man's Karl Redgen's Outer Reach. All right, check it out.
The automatic guidance system is now engaged.
Entering upper atmosphere. Visibility is low due to strange cloud formation. Our priority is to land safely.
Hull breached. Secure your helmets immediately.
Love it.
Please help me. Release me from this prison.
Putting an end to this.
Yeah, it's a nicely
Oh
cut trailer.
my God! Right? it's intense, and folks, it is currently touring with the Geekfest Film Fest. If you want to know where you could watch the whole of that amazing film, all you gotta do is go to geekfestla.com and check out where they're gonna be next. I mean, a big salute to my man Billow for bringing to our attention folks like Karl and their amazing works. All right, I mean, those shots, that video, oh effing God, that's right, folks. I have more stuff. Let me move this over. Hold up, I got a PowerPoint. Right, we gotta show this off. We got imagery because it was gorgeous takes. I mean, just look at that. So, give it back to you.
I love how intense the trailer gets too. It reminds me of when you watch those trailer reaction videos where people are like, "Whoa!" As it just gets more and more.
Everybody's an Alien back in the day. It kind of had that feel to it. Like, what the heck is going on here? Again, but let me add on that on the special effect though, because they look traditional. But anyway, go ahead, Bracey.
Well, just like in those, even in those, what we saw in the trailer, and just those two stills. Look at the cinematography. That's really nice. I love the super wide angles. I love seeing all that space. You really feel that sensation of isolation that this, your protagonist is dealing with here. That sense of like just abject aloneness. Like it really gets that intensity across. And like that this guy's got to make a decision, and we don't know if help is coming or not. How that's all going to work out for him.
And that was all intentional. We even in the script, we wanted him to feel like he was isolated, like there was such a vast space of land. Because the idea is they're looking for a new planet for humanity, and maybe they've gone to some other planets before, and maybe they weren't good enough. And then they've landed on this one, which because it's got some breathable air and it's got some atmosphere, and you can see some plant life. So before they crash, the idea is that they are excited about getting to this new planet that might be able to sustain life. And it does sustain life. Unfortunately, that's a parasitical alien that then turns the men into a tentacle monster. So
Gotta get a little Cthulhu hentai in there. So there we go.
Yeah, my favorite genre, Cthulhu hentai.
You sickos. I love it. No. Look at this image right here. This is one of my favorite shots because it's so fire and breathable, this and that. But is that another planet that is that close to this planet that's here? I mean, what a dope shot. Dope.
Yeah, it's actually really funny when I went to Thailand to chat to the team. He showed me a rundown before, like it hadn't been finished, but he showed me this shot, and I was like, "Is the planet too close? Would it really impact all of the atmosphere?" And because I'm a bit of a nerd, so I was like, "Yeah, wouldn't all the water get a wrap?" He's like, "What?" He looked at me like, "What the hell?" Like it just looks cool. I was like, "It does look cool." So
sometimes you gotta go with the rule of cool, because I'm like a super nerd too, and I'm like,
yeah.
Either that planet of the moon is really close, or it's really freaking big in the sky.
And
But it's
I
cool.
kind of like.
It's a gorgeous shot because of it. It reminds me of the shots in Pitch Black when they realize that the suns are going down, and you see those planets basically disappearing behind the horizon, and it kind of gives me that sort of vibe, especially because this is also largely a wide open flat plain.
Yeah.
And it definitely gives me that vibe that, like, man, you are like way out in the boonies, and there's nothing and nobody out there to help you. So you got to figure things out for yourself.
And what I also like about the visual effect is it actually is all animated. So the lightning strikes, the clouds move through. It's got the sound design of like the lightning coming from the distance. This shot. So most of all the bottom stuff, like even that shadow, we actually got really lucky. The sun kind of stayed sort of here the whole day and didn't go up or down. It just went around like this. So all we had to do was just move the camera to follow the shadow. So one of the best gaffers in the world, natural sun.
Absolutely.
And so all of the stuff that's below the horizon line is all real. So all those plants are real. All of that ground is real. And then what we replace is just the sky. So we got really lucky with the location, I think.
Well, I hope you replace the sky, because if we have a planet that close to Earth right now, we're in trouble, son. Texas here. Oh my God. Anyway, I mean, look how gorgeous this shot is too. I mean, dude, you remind me of those old school cowboy films. That type of take. You know what I mean? Like, every wide angle is just, you see the character, but it looks so distant, but it's not. You're showing off the lay of the land. It's just
like Lawrence of Arabia.
It's great technique when you've got a wide open space like that. Like Al rightly pointed out, like one of the things that's always impressive about those Westerns is like capturing that vista where you've just got nothing but land and sky. But now here we get a little bit more intimate. We get close in on these shots, and just look at that. Some really nice FX going on right there. Tell us some about that.
So I got Sharp Effects. So Russell Sharp was he worked for Weta in New Zealand. He worked on the Hobbit. He worked on Hobbit. He worked on Elysium. He actually just recently he recently just did Late Night with the Devil. So if you've seen the new film Late Night,
David, that Smolchin is the effing man. I interviewed him twice already on Comic Crusaders too. I want to talk to him about that, because David fucking murdered that role, man.
I went to the premiere at Melbourne Film Festival, which was awesome, and the directors were there. He came on board. It's quite funny. So I went to his studio. So originally when I contacted him, I said, I've got this short film. I know you do much bigger projects, but would it be something you're interested in? And he read the script and went, yeah, man, it sounds awesome. And I was originally said, look, I've got a relatively small budget. And so he said, we'll do 4 tentacles, maybe a couple of stuff on his face. And then when I went to his studio, him and all his crew, they had built like 8 different tentacles. Like, we didn't quite get it because there's a lot of close-ups, but there's actually a lot of tentacles around the walls as well. And he has one coming out of his chest. He has 2 around his neck. And what I asked when I got to the studio, I said, can we make them pulsate? Can we make them look like a beating heart? And he said, it's not really something we can do. And I said, that's okay, no problem. And then they got to set and they showed me this big tentacle that goes around the neck. And he goes, we figured it out. And they put like condoms in there and they had these pumping things. And so in order to make the tentacle pump, we had him, Russell Sharp, sort of as the main puppeteer. And then we had 2 others, like assistants, pumping these things. So to get him to look like it's pumping and to have all the tentacles move, we had 3 special effects artists working with the actor.
I'd say I like that because this is some old school 1980s style out of the box kit FX, back when they first started using air bladders and things. I never thought about using condoms in my own, but like that's a great thing. Brain, but yeah. But so many of the things I grew up on, like researching, what people like Rob Bottin and Rick Baker were doing, and they were doing stuff just like that. Like somebody's back there frantically squeezing air tubes and getting things to move, and like this gave me such an immediate love of that, because I'm flashing right back to my childhood watching these particular effects, and obviously knowing like you didn't have much of a budget, and I'm like, man, it really sells the moment here. Like it's an excellent job, and the cool thing is if you can excite a geek, he will give you more than you asked for. Like it's like, oh, I can only do this, but I got really fired up about it. I made 4 more tentacles for you.
Yeah, and I love it because they're a pretty big studio. They do all, and they were working on Late Night with the Devil at the same time, so they kind of had to fit me in. And he was, because at the beginning he's like, oh, look, we don't really have that much time. And then when I got there to pick up all the tentacles, I was like, he hired an extra person, and he's like, look how much stuff we made. I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, because they understand the story. I mean, your story here is amazing. It's fun. It's different. And I know we're comic book nerds, so we definitely eat this shit up, as much as we're film folks. So we could see this being even a comic book right now, or a graphic novel.
I'm beginning,
especially from the world building.
I'm sorry. I'm beginning to think when I see some of these smaller projects, whether they're short films or just like small independent films, and I see these names that I recognize on there, either behind the scenes or like on camera, and I think maybe sometimes it's just fun. You're like, oh, this nice little project. It's not going to be like a heavy workload, a heavy burden on myself. Yeah, I want to do this. This is almost like a little breather for me. I can do something that's just fun and not a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that. So the guy that plays the alien, his name is Michael Foster, and he's actually a pretty big deal. He was in all the Thor movies. He was in all the Pirates movies. He was in also in The Hobbit. He played Cabal in Mortal Kombat. He played God in Preacher.
Oh shit, nice. I love Cabal.
I literally just sent him an email and said, oh, hey, I've got this script. This is probably unlikely, but would you be interested in coming on board? And he read the script going, man, it's so good. I love it. I love what you're doing. And he normally plays characters with masks, and you never really see him, so he's always wearing makeup. So he kind of came to this film and jumped on board because he saw the opportunity for him to be able to express that the acting ability. So he technically plays 4 characters in this film. He plays the pilot, he plays the alien, he plays the wife, and he plays the son. So he really gets a good chance to show off his acting skills.
And look at this great shot right here of the sky. Chilling again, folks. Wait till y'all see this movie, this short film. Yeah, mind gonna be, bro. What a great shot! And talk to me about finding your actors. I mean, what was that like? I mean, how did you know that the team you built was the perfect team for this?
Yeah, it's interesting. So this was a kind of co-production between myself and my producer Ruben. So Ruben makes a lot of short films in Melbourne. They just had a feature film premiere in LA a couple of days ago. And so I contacted him and said, hey, we've worked together before on other projects. And I said, hey, look, I'm making this film. Would you want to be my producer? And so he kind of brought a lot of those people in. He brought the DP, he brought the sound guy, he brought the makeup team, just the normal makeup team. And then he brought me this actor too. So the one you're seeing right now, his name is, his Cam B. And he was brought to me by the producer directly and said, look, I've got a guy that kind of looks a bit like a Hollywood actor. On set, everyone was kind of calling him a Hemsworth and thought he's one of the Hemsworth brothers. Even at film festivals. And so I had not an audition per se. I kind of sat down with him and we talked about the role. And similar to what happened with Michael with the alien, he was like, yeah, I've read the script like 10 times. I really want to be involved. And I think that he really took on that role and took on that character. He was really great on set. He really pushed it a bit further than he normally would, especially in those emotional scenes when he knows that he has to give up everything. I won't give away too many spoilers, but in moments where he has to make tough decisions, It's like even shots like this, you know, you could really see that loneliness, that kind of, I guess, abandonment that he kind of feels. And I think I brought that out. So getting the team together was a collaborative process from my producer and other people I've worked with before, but also just sending an email. If you ever want to get someone on film, and this is for people watching who are making short films, and just reach out to actors, reach out to special effects artists, reach out to, because, you know, they might be like originally say, oh, we want a high amount of money, but if you kind of show them the idea and you get them involved, like what happened with Sharp Effects, you know, they're more than willing to come on board for maybe a lower rate, or even, you know, just as themselves without an agent or SAG. And you're most likely going to get an actor who's appeared in big films to want to do the short film.
Now, that brings something else to mind. Speaking to that, I remember James Cameron, one of the reasons he got more funding than he wanted for like Alien, not James Cameron, sorry,
Ridley Scott.
God, no, just totally brain farting on his name. Ridley Scott is because he's also an artist, and he did all these amazing storyboards. Like, he had so much storyboard. Like, so did you send a script and storyboards to sort of sweeten the pot?
I don't usually. I'm not a good drawer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pretty terrible drawer. So what I do instead is I make like a mood board. So I get Pinterest and I just put all like the imagery. So we had an imagery of all the space suits and like the ships and stuff. Like, this ship was designed by my visual effects team, but stuff like that. So I showed my actors like what I wanted the look to be. So I said I wanted to be a combination of practical effects like The Thing or Event Horizon or Alien, and with CGI. So you don't see it a lot in short films because it is quite expensive, and it is a big challenge to have both practical special effects and visual effects on the same film, especially for a 12-minute movie. So, which is why I wanted to do something new and something that's never been done before, especially in Australian cinema. So I reached out to them and showed them the mood board and said, look, these are my inspirations. This is what I'm looking to have the look of the film. You know, all the suits we got, the space suits there, all hand built. My production designer meticulously put all of the metal on the shoulder pads. We built so that suit. Actually, I bought a racing suit from a motorbike shop, and then I started getting all these emails thinking that I was a motorbike enthusiast. Because these racing suits that you would have for speed racing, where you get really close to the ground, they've got armor in them. So I actually got lucky again. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to do the best of my ability to spend the least amount of money to get the effect. So having armor like the shoulder pads and the knee pads and the bits in the forearms, that was already in the suit. So we didn't have to fully sew a full spacesuit together. So just things like that. And I think when I showed them what I was looking at doing with my production design, with the visual effects, with the creature design, everyone was very excited. Straight away, you had people go, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll go on that project." They, lower their daily rate, and whatever. And it was really amazing because I think people really believed in the story. Like Al was saying earlier, the film has a great script, it has a great story, it has great characters, and I think people really want to be involved in something like that.
You know, that's such a terrific idea because, for instance, the story I was telling with Ridley Scott, it actually got him $2 million more or something on the Alien. And if you can't draw, having a mood board was a great idea because people are reading scripts and they're used to reading script after script after script. But you give them something visual to hook in because it is a visual medium. And since we were just talking a little bit about AI beforehand, you could also use AI image generation nowadays to sort of sweeten the deal and give people ideas of what you're going for and send that out with your script as well. And you might get, more hits from these people that you'd like to get on your project.
Yeah, and especially how good the technology is coming. So I was trying to do that a few months ago, and it was they couldn't do fingers properly, and it was always a little bit a cosmic horror, and you're like, oh, I don't want to show it. But now they just released a new version and I was designing pictures for my new feature that I'm writing to send to the production designer, and I said, this is the kind of sci-fi headsets that I want to build. And before, when you did the prompt in ChatGPT or whatever system you're using, couldn't really figure out your prompts, and it would make it look so weird and otherworldly. But now it does lighting properly. It can actually put text in. And I showed my production designer, and I said, this is what I want it to look like. And it literally shows the exact angle of this shot that I would get in this warehouse with headsets and stuff. And I was like, that's sick. I mean, I wouldn't use it for like actual art on the film, but for concept art and showing crew members and
Karl, that's the proper usage. Again, just to lay out the vision. Not use what they're providing, but rather lay out that vision, like Bracey's talking about. Because again, AI is so powerful. I think it's a great tool, and I know kind of what the recent strike that happened, right? With SAG and all. Well, a lot of the things was with the AI content. As a filmmaker, independent in the world, how do you feel overall though about AI and its usage in film?
So it's interesting. So I find AI more as like a tool. I look at it the same way that you would look at a camera or editing software. It can help you get different things. Using it for creative purposes doesn't work, because the problem with AI is it doesn't have a soul. It's never felt love before. It's never felt heartbreak before. It's never had experiences. So it also doesn't have a subjective mindset. So if you're trying to get script or drawing or whatever, it will never give you something that comes from an artist, because it doesn't have the ability. It's just data. But using data the same way that you would use, Adobe Photoshop, right? Photoshop has a lot of tools in it that allows you to make better posters, make better titles. You're using it for your advantage. It's not taking over the role of the graphic designer. It's taking on a point where you can use it to benefit your work. So it's really good for editing emails. It's really good for making, I'm doing a pitch deck for my new feature at the moment to get funding, to get financing, and it's good to make graphs. It does not PowerPoint, but it does like Excel spreadsheets. So you can say, I've got this information for box office returns, give me a spreadsheet. And you're like, that takes 4 seconds. If I had to do the spreadsheet with all that data myself and finding out how much ticket prices are at the cinema and how much they're getting, all that kind of stuff, that's really benefits for me to sell an idea to a producer, to an EP, to a studio. I can be like, I've got Outer Reaches, it's won a bunch of awards, and I also have this pitch deck. Can I have money?
if Karl had to do that, the poor man would be in front of a computer for hours on end.
Yeah.
For him.
Let me ask you this question, because the visuals look so striking. What sort of camera and lenses were you shooting with?
We're actually relatively basic. We shot on a Blackmagic Pocket Cam 6K. So that's still full frame sensor. But what I really like about that camera is it gives that Super 16 look.
Yes.
Like the way that you would have in low budget 80s films, especially like in that time in Australia in the 80s, where we got so much money put into the film industry that people were just going out with Super 16s shooting film.
One of my favorite movies from back in the 80s is actually Razorback, if you ever have that one.
I love it. I'm writing a crocodile movie at the moment. It's got so much Razorback influence.
Look at that. Karl is skipping ahead already. I'm doing, but we're going to get into that. There's a couple of more minutes of your time. Bracey, 2 more questions, because, we need this man to start working on that crocodile flick, because I need you more horror.
Yeah, for sure. If you can do something that's somewhere between Razorback and Rogue, if you happen to see that one, I would love that.
The Greg McLean movie.
Yeah, based off of a local crocodile that they nicknamed Sweetheart because it liked to rub the boats a bit. But yeah, so you're working on funding for a feature length project. What's that going to be about?
So
give us an idea. Are you allowed to say?
Yeah. So the one I'm looking to get financing for, it's called Dream Thieves. And basically it's about this professor who gets fired because he builds a machine that can record and play back dreams, and he gets addicted to the dream machine. And then once he gets fired from his job because the dream machine takes over his life, he goes to Thailand and starts living in the underground so he can keep working on the dream machine. And then his technology gets stolen by a Thai hacking syndicate, and then they kidnap him so that they can develop the machine so it's not dangerous and it doesn't kill people. And then he escapes, and then there's a chase through the Bangkok streets. So it's like an action film. It's sci-fi. It's sort of, I would say, like a combination of like The Matrix and maybe like John Wick, or like Only God Forgives, if you've ever seen the movie with Ryan Gosling. So high budget, so not super high budget, but like, because in Thailand, I've got access to a stunt team, I've got access to a pyrotechnics team, the visual effects team are there, and the budget kind of can go a lot further. So I started developing this script. It was originally set in San Francisco, but now I've changed it to set in Bangkok.
Oh, totally, it makes so much sense, because as soon as you started pitching the idea here, I'm thinking it's basically a cybernetic opium den.
That's exactly right. If I can find the picture that I made with talking about the AI, which is what I was bringing up before, I'll quickly show you what I did for a cybernetic opium den. So
a cybernetic opium den. Oh my God! I mean, is this Universal Soldier's first job or what?
in 1980, something's Brainstorm with Christopher Walken. They touched on that idea a little bit, but they didn't really. That wasn't what they were going for. So I always wanted to see that idea kind of explored, and it looks like you're going to be the man to do that. So I'm really.
My screen's blurry, but you can kind of tell it's like he's addicted, and then there it is.
Yeah.
So that's one of that's the concept art I had for it, and then there was another picture that shows the dream machines that I've got in mind. So it looks kind of like this. So again, might be a bit hard to see. It doesn't really matter. You'll see it eventually.
Send me those images. I'll share it if you want within the notes, man, because that's what it is. Because we're excited, Karl. It seems that you are definitely one of those future stars of cinema, sci-fi, some good stuff. I mean, do you want to box yourself in within a certain genre, or do you want to like try to hit as many different genres as you can?
It's interesting. So when I'm shooting my second follow-up short film actually on Saturday. So in the next 3 days, I'm going another big budget short. And so originally I asked the question, do I want to be known as the sci-fi guy? And I made a decision that I was going to make a straight up horror film. So the next film I'm making is a dark werewolf film. Set in
good werewolf films.
So I don't know if any of my cast and crew are watching, because this is a surprise for them on set. I'm the type of director who loves taking care of my crew. They're all there working their ass off. I made this T-shirt for them that will be available. The film's called Closed Circuit.
Oh snap! Yep. We're seeing. Hey, we're seeing it. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's a werewolf that terrorizes a security guard. I am going to make, so what my plan is I'm going to use Outer Reaches, which is doing very well in the film festival circuit, playing at Geekfest, but also winning a bunch of other awards, which has really been really nice.
Okay.
And then
I don't want to spoil anything, but I do want to ask, so you can say yes, no, maybe, or I can't say right now. But if this is also set in Australia, the werewolf film?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so are there actually wolves in Australia?
We have. It's not really. We don't have wolves per se because we have marsupials. We have marsupials.
So we
have kangaroos.
So I'm curious. Like, is your werewolf by any chance going to be based off of dingo, or perhaps even a thylacine, which would be like kind of cool to me? Nerd.
So it's actually. If you look on my Instagram, which is Instagram /Forgotten Astronaut Productions, you'll see the puppet that we built for it. So it's actually designed by the same guy who designed the capsule for Outer Reaches. So he built the capsule, and then I reached out to him to build this puppet. So it's a 7-foot wearable mascot suit, I would say, and its face is completely skeleton. So its jaw opens up like horizontal, and its tongue sticks out. So
That's horrifying.
The idea of this creature is it's supposed to be half dead, half alive. It comes from a hell dimension, going back to that cosmic horror thing. And so the idea is there's a black dog. We're using a real dog, and then the dog transforms into the 7-foot demon. And we're going to be using a combination of visual effects, practical, and shadow work. So there's no real basis of what this wolf creature is from. It's more of an invention that we came up with as a team.
I have to ask these things because I'm also an artist, and I do a lot of. Oh, thank you. I do a lot of creature concepts.
There it is.
And when I'm
Dave, look at that thing. Holy crap.
That's weirdly similar to a werewolf idea I had, where like the werewolf starts out as a man and it grows beyond the size of a man. So you would actually have exposed muzzle skull because the muzzle breaches out and the skin pulls away. And so I'm always thinking in these kind of like biological and anatomical terms, even when I'm pushing the boundary. So it's fun to see what somebody else is doing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, when we did rehearsals, it was so cool to see in action. It just moves around and it's like even without a camera, even without like just being in front of me, and we were doing rehearsals. I'm like, oh, now it's going to take hold of me. I'm like, this is actually genuinely terrifying. This is a 7-foot thing that holds you, and it's got claws, and it licks you, and I'm like, oh god.
Thing like seeing something like that. I remember reading my old Fangoria magazines and seeing images of Clive Barker's Rawhead Rex and thinking like, that suit looks ridiculous. But these are production shots, on stage. But then when you get it like lit and the camera frame is on there, and you got your smoke and all that stuff, and like, oh, okay, it looks really cool on the film. So to hear this is already terrifying when you're seeing it in the shop makes me even more eager to hear or to see what it's going to be like when it's actually filmed, and it's color corrected and lit and everything awesome is going on to make it look as amazing as possible.
Yeah, and then also having the performer in there. So the guy, Michael Foster, who played the alien in Outer Reaches, he will be playing this werewolf creature. And so it's always nice to have the same actors come back, and you give them a call and you say, hey, I'm making another film. Would you like to be involved? And seeing him be able to like move and like bob the head and kind of like open his jaw and screech and stuff. So having that on camera will be like an extra like element where he's in the shadow and then the head like pops through, because the eyes can glow red. We're going to put like visual effects where it kind of looks like it's floating from like a brimstone dimension, Nightcrawler style. And so once we put all that in, the creature is going to be terrifying, on just in this short 10-minute film.
I love that too, that you're giving callbacks to these particular things, because like one of my favorite things to see in cinema is like these great collaborations between certain directors and certain actors. Like oh, you guys are part of my loyal crew. Quentin Tarantino is always calling in certain people. Johnny Depp is always working with Tim Burton on things, and like these wonderful collaborations that come together when you have this crew and you become really familiar with each other and each other's styles. Wonderful things can come from that.
Yeah, like Christopher Nolan's films, that's always using the same collaborators.
Well, I'm excited to see it. Like I'm so hyped to see both these projects now.
I'm excited overall for everything that Karl is doing, and folks, that's the film right there. It is touring right now with the Geekfest Film Fest that I mentioned earlier. Please visit geekfestla.com. Check out this amazing project and the others that are touring. But let me tell you, I think that this one is going to be winning in a lot of places because it is a beautiful and striking looking film. The imagery, I'm a sci-fi fan, and I kind of see where he's going. I definitely better see more of Outer Reaches. I want to know a whole lot more. And if you want to know a whole lot more, just go to onepageperminute.com. The links are below. Go follow my man Karl all over social media at, first off, Instagram at Forgotten Astronaut Productions. Also on Instagram at 1 page per minute. And on Facebook, also Forgotten Astronaut Productions. Show the love for independent creation, independent creators. I mean, my man is bringing the business. Vote for this film at the Geekfest Film Fest, which is going to be at a convention near you. Geekfest.com. Shout out to Billo for introducing and bringing and showcasing amazing independent talent like Mr. Karl Redgen over here. I mean, future star, I cannot effing wait, for all these feature films you're going to do. Big fan. And please don't forget us once you strike it big, all right? I would love to have you back. And
that'd be great.
The legend of the Redgenverse goes. Hey.
Yeah.
About it. The Redgenverse, baby, it's real. Horror, it's sci-fi, and a whole lot more. So, of course, don't just follow Karl either. You got to follow my big homie Bracey, too. My man is all over the place. He's playing games with the Manners Network. He's doing film reviews with Comic Crew. He be on Cinema Crusaders for Undercover. My man is all over the place. He is doing the business. So follow my man Bracey on X. Which it's officially X now. He said over
extreme.
Yeah, extreme. And Bracey 452 again, geekfestla.com. My man all over the socials. And of course, I've been showing you at the bottom. Check out everything Comic Crusaders, the Comic Crusaders, everywhere on social. With the exception of YouTube, which is Comic Crusaders World. Thank you, Karl, for your time. I know it's early out there in Australia, and your day is just only getting started.
Yeah, you're welcome. Back to the grind, more pre-production. I'll never stop working. Every day, I'm like, I got another idea. I'm gonna do another project, and I think it's good. I'm definitely ready to make it get to America. Let's make an impact. Let's do something.
Let's go, Karl. Hey, come over to the States, man. Coming to America, but not like Eddie Murphy. All right, you're gonna do it even bigger. Let's go. All right. Thank you, Bracey.
I'm keen.
Karl, you rock. My Crusaders. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for tuning in today. And check out this dope film. Make sure you stay tuned again. Geekfestla.com. This film right here by the amazing Karl Redgen. All right. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. ¡Huepa!